हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया। My name is Javin Dr. Vishal Saxena. I am Associate Professor in Mathematics in Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Science, Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. Today I am going to take a lecture on the module sampling, population, large sample, small sample, null hypothesis, testing of hypothesis, and types of sampling. This module is a part of the course Research Methodology and Biostatistics, and in the program of B Pharmacy 8th semester and BPT and B Optometry 6th semester under the Faculty of Pharmaceutical Science and Physiotherapy and Diagnostics. First of all, we take the introduction of sampling. The way in which we select a sample of individuals to be research participants is critical. How we select participants means random sampling will determine the population to which we may generalize our research findings. The procedure that we use for assigning participants to different treatment conditions, random assignment will determine whether bias exists in our treatment groups. Are the groups equal in all known and unknown factors? We address random sampling in this presentation. So now we are going to define the definition of population. The whole group of units from which a sample is to be selected is technically termed as population. Suppose population for this study consists of 1609 secondary school teachers of Durg district of Chhattisgarh. Sampling is simply the process of learning about the population on the basis of a sample drawn from it. Under this process, a small group 114 of the universe is taken as the representative of the whole mass, and the results are drawn. The essence of sampling is the selection of a part, means a sample, from the whole population in order to make inference about the whole. So it means just we have studied the topic of the part of the population. Population means it is a group of units from which a sample is to be selected, and this is termed as population. Just we have taken an example here of Durg district. There are 1609 secondary school teachers. This means it is a population, and 114 can be taken as a small group of teachers, and it can be taken as a sample. Now sample, there are two types of studies of population related to research. One is parametric method, second is non-parametric method. So in social science, from the practical and theoretical points of view, study by the non-parametric method is simple, easy, economic and valid. Sample from the basis of the non-parametric method, according to Kurlinger 1964, sampling is taking any portion of a population or universe as a representative of that population or universe. Good and Hart in 1952 point out that sample, as the name applies, is a smaller representation of a large whole. According to Young 1963, a statistical sample is a miniature picture or the cross section of the entire group or aggregate from which the sample is taken. Now we take the definitions of large and small samples. So large sample theory, the sample size n is greater than 30 means if it is greater than or equal to 30, then it is known as the large sample. And for large samples, the sampling distributions of statistic are normal, means Z test. A study of sampling distribution of statistic for large sample is known as large sample theory. A small sample is generally regarded as one of the size n less than to 30. It means that if the population size is less than to 30, then it can be taken as a small sample size. A t-test is necessary for small samples because their distributions are not normal. If the sample is large, then statistical theory says that the sample mean is normally distributed and the Z test for a single mean can be used. Now what is a hypothesis? So a hypothesis is an educated guess about something in the world around you. It should be testable either by experiment or the observation. So now we take some examples to understand this here. So it means just when we are going to define hypothesis, so it is simply an educated guess about something in the world around you. Means a hypothesis can be taken as a decision. It may be wrong or right, or it is educated guess. So examples of hypothesis like a new medicine you think might work. It may be means this may be wrong or this may be right. A way of teaching you think might be better. A possible location of new species. A fairer way of to administer standardized test. So it can really be anything at all, as long as you can put it to the test. Now hypothesis testing. The main purpose of statistics is to test a hypothesis. So it means the main purpose of statistics is to test a hypothesis. For example, you might run an experiment and find that a certain drug is effective at treating headache. But if you cannot repeat that experiment, means when if it is not possible to repeat the experiment, then no one will take your results seriously, and this cannot be taken as a correct experiment or the correct hypothesis. So to test the hypothesis, a normal varied Z, which is known as the statistics, can be given by p cap minus p upon under root of pq upon n, where like p cap means we can take like it as a attribute. P is a probability in favor of event, and q is a probability in not the favor of event. N is the sample size. So what is the null hypothesis? If you trace back the history of science, the null hypothesis is always the accepted fact. Simple examples of null hypothesis that are generally accepted as being true are. So like the examples here, DNA is shaped like a double helix. There are 8 planets in the solar system excluding the Pluto. Taking diets can increase your risk of heart problems. A drug not taken off the market, means it is not coming from in the market. So these are the examples of null hypothesis that are generally accepted as being true are. So how do I state the null hypothesis? Now you would not be required to actually perform a real experiment or survey in elementary statistics or even disprove a fact like Pluto is a planet. So you will be given word problems from real life situations. You will need to figure out what your hypothesis is from the problem. This can be a little trickier than just figuring out what the accepted fact is. With word problems, you are looking to find a fact that is nullifiable, that is something you can reject. So next is here hypothesis testing examples, and we are taking basic examples of the hypothesis testing. A researcher thinks that if knee surgery patients go to a physical therapy twice a week instead of 3 times, their recovery period will be longer. Average recovery times for knee surgery patients is 8.2 weeks. So that is given that here. Average recovery times for knee surgery patients is 8.2 weeks, while if knee surgery patients go to physical therapy twice a week, their recovery period will be longer, definitely. So the hypothesis statements in the question is that the researcher believes the average recovery time is more than 8.2 weeks. It can be written in mathematical terms as H1 means the hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, where mu means mean is greater than to 8.2. Next you will need to state the null hypothesis. See how to state the null hypothesis. That is what will happen if the researcher is wrong. In the above example, if the researcher is wrong, then the recovery time is less than or equal to 8.2 weeks. Means less than or equal to 8.2 weeks, that is the time period if researcher is wrong. So in maths, that is H0 is taken as here mu is less than or equal to 8.2, means null hypothesis, and the alternative hypothesis H1 is taken as mu greater than to 8.2. So rejecting the null hypothesis. 10 or so years ago, we believed that there were 9 planets in the solar system. Pluto was demoted as a planet in 2006. The null hypothesis of Pluto is a planet was replaced by Pluto is not a planet. Of course, rejecting the null hypothesis is not always that easy. The hard part is usually figuring out what your null hypothesis is in the first place. So it means the null hypothesis may be rejected or may be accepted. If the null hypothesis is rejected, then the alternative hypothesis will be accepted. A probability sample is a sample in which every unit in the population has a chance greater than 0 of being selected in the sample, and this probability can be accurately determined. The combination of these traits makes it possible to produce unbiased estimates of population totals by weighting sampled units according to their probability of selection. So probability sampling includes simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, probability sampling, probability proportional to the size sampling, and cluster or the multi-stage sampling. These various ways of probability sampling have two things in common. So we are discussing about the probability sampling, and in which every unit in the population has a chance of being selected in the sample. So now we are taking these various ways of probability sampling have two things in common. All these probability sampling we have taken, like simple, systematic, stratified, probability proportional, and cluster or multi-stage sampling have two things in common. So what are the two things here? Let us see. Every element has a non-zero probability of being sampled. Every element has a non-zero probability of being sampled. And second is here, involve random selection at some point. So non-probability sampling, that is non-probability sampling is any sampling method where some elements of the population have no chance of selection. So now we are going to discuss about the non-probability sampling, and so it means it is not related with probability. So this sampling is any sampling method where some elements of the population have no chance of selection. These are sometimes referred to as out of the coverage or uncovered, or where the probability of selection cannot be accurately determined. Types of sampling. So now we are going to take the types of sampling. So first we are going to take simple random sampling. In a simple random sampling, SRS of a given size, all subsets of a sampling frame have an equal probability of being selected. Each element of the frame thus has an equal probability of selection. Also, simple random sampling can be cumbersome and tedious when sampling from a large target population. Next is systematic sampling. Systematic sampling, also known as the interval sampling, that relies on arranging the study population according to some ordering scheme and then selecting elements at regular intervals through that ordered list. So as clear from the name of the sampling here, systematic sampling relies on the arranging the study population according to some ordering scheme and then selecting elements at regular intervals. Systematic sampling involves a random start and then proceeds with the selection of every kth element from then onwards. In this case, k is equal to population size, that means sample size. As long as the starting point is randomized, systematic sampling is a type of probability sampling. Stratified sampling. When the population embraces a number of distinct categories, the frame can be organized by these categories into separate structure. Each stratum is then sampled as an independent subpopulation, out of which individual elements can be randomly selected. The ratio of the size of the random selection or the sample to the size of the population is called sampling fraction. So what is sampling fraction? Means the ratio of the size of the random selection to the size of the population is called sampling fraction. There are several potential benefits to the stratified sampling. Now next is purposive sampling. So purposive sampling, also known as judgment, selective or the subjective sampling, is a sampling technique in which researcher relies on his or her own judgment when choosing members of population to participate in the study. So purposive sampling is a non-probability sampling method, important part here. So purposive sampling is a non-probability sampling method and it occurs when elements selected for the sample are chosen by the judgment of the researcher. Researchers often believe that they can obtain a representative sample by using a sound judgment which will result in saving time and money. And next is here multi-stage sampling. So multi-stage sampling, also known as multi-stage cluster sampling, is a more complex form of the cluster sampling which contains two or more stages in sample selection. In sample terms, in multi-stage sampling, large clusters of population are divided into smaller clusters in several stages in order to make primary data collection more manageable. It has to be acknowledged that multi-stage sampling is not as effective as the random sampling. However, it addresses certain disadvantages associated with true random sampling, such as being overly expensive and time consuming. So today we have just studied about the sampling, the hypothesis and the testing of hypothesis and the types of sampling. And this session is powered by the digital version 2, Jayoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. I hope all you are satisfied with my digital session. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box. I will resolve your doubts and problems. And with this, I conclude my today's lecture. Thank you.